Hello and welcome to the Way Up podcast. Andrew Logan here, and I'm live on my Facebook as well, live on YouTube as well, because I have a great guest with me today, and I love to do the guest interviews live so that people can interact and see these things going on as well. So I always joke that, there's Generation X and there's Generation Y, and then there's, the baby boomers and all that. And then there's Generation S, which is Generation Side Hustlers. And I kind of feel that that's what we are now. We are the Generation S, we are the Generation Side Hustlers. And that's at any age. There's boomers who are side hustling, and there's people straight out of school side hustling. But it's an evolution of our economy, it's an evolution of our society. And a lot of it has come, I believe, from the evolution of social media. So for some of us dinosaurs who've been around since before social media, like our guest, we were side hustling before Facebook and before Instagram, and you used to have to send a fax away to a company and say, yes, I want to side hustle with you, I want to join you. So what I thought would be a great thing to do would be to bring on a good friend of mine, Matt. He is an Aussie as well. So if you're listening for overseas, he's got that Aussie accent. I'm sorry, we can't fix that. But he has been side hustling since the fax machine as well, and thought it'd be a great idea just to talk about the evolution and what we see over time. So Matt Riddel, thank you for coming on, Matt.
You are welcome. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. So Matt, just very quickly before we kind of get into, some of the newer developments, just give us a sort of quick history of your life and what attracted you to sending that fax away 2 decades ago, essentially, and saying, you know what, I need something else in my life.
Yeah. Well, look, it started for me. So growing up as I used to be a ranger, so I used to have hair. But growing up as a kid, my parents were in business. My grandparents were in business. So for me, it was an unnatural idea to just have a job. That was just through the story of my life. And they had a very successful business. It's still going. I think it's into its 60th year or something crazy like that now. Started in 1963, but I watched my parents had an incredible work ethic. My grandparents had an incredible work ethic. Like my grandfather worked until he was 87 years old and loved it. And I'd always had a really strong work ethic. And when I sort of finished uni, I did a business and part of a science degree, and pretty quickly realized I wanted to actually run a business. Started a personal training studio of all things. And I found that running a PT business, I really enjoyed dealing with people, like personal growth and personal development, because if you're in a people business, you absolutely need to be doing personal growth and personal development. If you're not, it's going to be really challenging, because you'll come up with obstacles that are really just problems within yourself that you need to, what does Jim Rohn say? Don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Right? So rule number one of business is focus on your business growth will never outperform your personal growth. So started in a personal training business. It was one of my clients that actually came in. First month of starting that business, I'd put about 50 grand into starting this business up. I was in my early 20s, loan, premises, outgoings, all this kind of stuff dropped right in the deep end of it, because I really didn't, even though my family had been in business, that wasn't me. I was still brand new little chicken at it, but just got in and worked. And I think another thing is you kind of just got to bite off more than you can chew, and then just chew like crazy. Because we have way more capacity than I think we give ourselves credit for. So first month was one of my first clients. I was training her daughter, her son, and her mother. So this gorgeous lady was half of my client base for my first month. And she said, look, would you like to have a look at my business? I'm like, I'll look at anything. But it turned out that's the honest truth, man. And it was one of the best. She sort of showed me a presentation of which I remember none of, because that was back in the days when we sat at a coffee table, whipped out a presentation folder and flip chart and tell the story. None of this ad tag message stuff. It was tell the story. And I said to her, look, I am absolutely 100% all in with my business, but I will support yours. And she made the really clever, thing of inviting me along to stuff and saying, hey, well, listen, I know you've already got a business, which was my objection, but there's a really good speaker on. Do you want to come have a listen? You might get something out of it. There's a great health speaker on. And I just turned up to this stuff and got to know the people and got to like the community and the tribe. And then, sort of started telling people about the products I was using, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. And it did start it was actually posted, we faxed it, right? Faxed that order off, but then you had to send in your original form so they had a hard copy record of it. So not only did I fax it, I then had to post that sucker in. And in my first 12 months, all I was I would say like a happy but average customer. So that was how it happened. But what happened for me personally is I really started to like the products and got a lot of belief around that. And then from there, started meeting people that were earning quite remarkable incomes. I thought, like, they were running it as some were side gigs, some were full time. But I would meet people and be like, how much are you earning from this little, because I thought it was a joke of a business. I truly did not believe that network marketing, like a side hustle like that, could make you money. My image of it was of just nothing but people who couldn't do other businesses. I had no idea that there were people who were phenomenally, like yourself, like people who would do extremely well in any profession. They just found a better way. So I guess that realizing, like, it's a better way for people to get ahead.
And so many similarities in what you were saying there before. Just for the international listeners, oranga is short for an orangutan. Like, just if you're wondering what background there before, it's Aussie slang for the fiery red beard that he has, or red hair. But no, I remember. Yeah, I was at university, and again on that similar path. And I started. Someone's like, "Oh, you got to come to this meeting and check this thing out," and having to catch the bus to the meeting because you had to go to the meeting thing. There was no and I had no money, so I was catching the bus to the meetings, kind of thing, because I had no car. I couldn't afford anything else. But I think one thing you said early on that I'd like to sort of touch on, and then just unpack a little bit, is that the word of work ethic. The two words of work ethic, that I think sometimes people can say, like, they see side hustles as a shortcut. And I think sometimes we even set that up ourselves. Sometimes we try and sell that it's kind of like it's the shortcut. And so it's not the shortcut, it's just the inside lane. Like, it's definitely, to me, having experienced so many other options, there's no better option out there. But there's never going to be success in anything without work ethic. And no matter what you do, if it is traditional business, if it is online business, if it is a job, you're not going to get any above the pack or outside of that middle if you don't have work ethic. And you can't train that either. I think that's another thing as well. Like, people kind of born with work ethic, develop work ethic yourself, and they can go to work on their own work ethic, but I can't teach you work ethic. I can only model it, right?
I would share this, because I got to say, for a lot of people watching, you're probably out there looking for the faster way to do things, or everyone's looking for like the latest, like, what's this strategy, the 8 points to whatever. Like, everyone's looking for the shortcut, or they're looking for more motivation. I'll tell you this. This came from my realization for this was born out of a frustrating moment, which is when I had my personal training studio. I was trying to find good staff, and that was like challenge number one. So if you're in a network marketing business struggling to recruit, I just look at it as you're looking to find people to help grow your business. Same as if you were employing someone. The beautiful part about a network marketing business is if someone joins, starts, and doesn't do well, that's not on you. That's not on you. People will join a company and leave, but you don't have to have all of those overheads and the horror show of employment. I mean, it's really challenging. So, but anyway, that's like another whole sideline. Again, why I had a huger appreciation for this industry, this whole better way model for the average person to get ahead who doesn't have a HR department, right? Like, so I remember I was struggling to find employees that would do be like, man, why are you freaking standing there doing nothing? Like, why are you not? I thought I could be the most motivating person. Like, everyone wants to be a mini Tony Robbins. It's like, I'm going to motivate them to do amazing stuff or whatever. And I got really burnt out from it. I was so freaking frustrated. I had like staff challenges, and I went to my dad's business. Now, my dad is, it's like a drilling and mining business. And he is, I would say, without a doubt, the hardest working person I've ever met in my entire life, bar nobody. like it pains him to take time off, kind of thing, because he just loves what he does. Like it's the thing I respect most about my father is just the fact that he will work through any problem, like a machine. And it's like this level of unstoppability. So. And you'll find that all of the top people in any profession have that. I don't care if it's acting, whether it's network marketing, whether they are workhorses. So I remember going to my dad's work, and there's like 200 people working, but everyone's busily working. And I've come in for some advice, as you do. I said, Dad, how do you motivate all these people? Because I'm thinking, I can barely motivate 2 people or 3 people, and you got hundreds. Like, how do you? I was so I felt like this big, and his response was the best thing ever. It was just like this big fish. Wow! He's gone, motivate people. It's like I'd asked him, was the moon made out of cheese? He's like, motivate people. But mate, I don't motivate people. You find motivated people. Find people that want to work. I was like, light bulb just went off. It's like, okay, cool. My job is not to actually, like in our team and everything, my job is not to motivate people. It's to help them, of course, like maybe overcome obstacles. But if they don't want to work, I'm not there for you. Like if you don't want to work, I'm your guy, period. And I think that if you're a leader in our profession, you should be like that, because you owe it to people who are willing to do the work, to work with it. Like I think every mentor I've ever had in our profession is like, work with the willing. Go where the energy is. Like, go with the person that you're not having to chase. They're calling you. Like, that's who you want to work with. Because I don't think you can fix laziness. I don't think there's a cure for that.
We could really go down this rabbit hole, I think, and kind of go off topic a little bit. But it is so important, because people are always saying, I want to find a leader. Like, how do I find these like motivated people? And it's like, well, at the end of the day, they'll find you if you show up. The question is really like, what can I do to attract these people? What can I do every day? So, because game recognizes game, and if I'm showing up motivated and I'm showing up as a leader, they're going to actually reach out to me and say, well, I want to do what you do. And really, even then, the question is like, how do I identify? Like, rather than like, how do I find them? How do I actually identify these character traits in someone? And then like, when I find these character traits that can work with, then I can coach and mentor them to the rest. And that's what my mindset has always been. Like, well, I'll show up and I'll attract people with great, character traits if I show up and do the work myself every day.
Well, I think, like, I don't know I'd love to know what you do, but for me, if I get someone who's like, because I definitely agree with what what's going on?
So there's some child's Lego on my desk and it just fell off. Sorry, what were you saying? Yeah.
Like, when it comes to like, how do you identify people? My experience is, because people are so different, often people make the mistake of listening to what people say. Right? Like, I don't care what you've got to say. Like, okay, I will listen to you, but show me. I love what was his name? He was one of the billionaires in this profession. His name, Art Williams. He had a whole speech which was like, that's great, now show me. Oh, great, look, show me. So watch the feet, not the lips. I will listen very quickly to what someone says. Okay, cool, let's go and see. Let's do a launch for you. Let's get you moving. One of the things I know that people who are like, if you say to someone, hey, listen, let's do a launch event, whether it's online, offline, however it is, and they're like, okay, cool, well, I've talked to 5 people. I'm like, cool, you're not my leader. Because the person I'm looking for they are already great with people and they influence people easily, as in like they are an influential leader or in what they're already doing. Like, a friend of mine who owns no one would have ever heard of him. He's in his 70s, but he owns one of the most successful real estate agencies in Brisbane. This guy, his way of like he would say, one of his interviewing criteria, if they ever need someone new, is he would say, if he's looking for a winner, looking for someone who's going to do the work and a leader, he would say, well, cool, tell me what successes you've already had. What are you already doing, or what have you already done? Because you will find that it's transferable. They might not have had anything in our profession yet, but you would, like, I know that you, for example, before this, you were doing really well at what you were doing before this. With me, I mean, not to like blow my own horn or anything, but in everything that I've gone into, I've just worked my butt off till I get to the top or close to it, because that's like the challenge to excel and the challenge to succeed. Purely not for like to compete against anyone. Like I'm happy to be like fifth in something if the top four generally are better. Like, as in, I would prefer that to be the best in a small game. Like it's just how you grow. But it's because I always think for myself, it's you versus you. And if you're watching this, like it is you versus you. Comparison is the thief of joy. Like you could be judging your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 37 and feeling inferior for no reason other than they're just further along the path.
Yeah, and it's about not being focused on the result, but being focused on the process, isn't it? Like, 'cause, yeah, if you get caught up in the result, it's a short game. But coming, as I say, like we're focusing on what we really wanted to talk about today, and you said it really well at the start, and if like unpacking what Matt was saying there before was that, you know, when he started, it was sort of, you know, the coffee shop meeting and you're telling your story there. Now there's Instagram, there's Clubhouse, there's Facebook, there's social media. But at the end of the day, you're still telling a story. And I think that's the kind of key thing for people, isn't it? That apps will change, social media will change, like actual processes will change, and we have to evolve constantly. And that's why we always have to learn. But the fundamental thing about success in any business at the end of the day is your story and your skill set and your mindset and, you know, your leadership. And that discipline, as you say, goes across anything. And so you were successful as a personal trainer and a small business owner because of those things. And then you've taken this into a new business model. But it doesn't really matter what comes next. Like if Clubhouse is the next big thing or not, or if there's something that comes next week that's going to be even bigger. Yeah, I'm skeptical of Clubhouse too, but like the look on your face. But it doesn't really matter. You can't just sit there on Clubhouse and people will come to you. You've got to get onto Clubhouse and share your story. It's just a tool to share value to a marketplace, right?
Yeah, it's being a person of value who adds value. So like originally, I mean, the reason why I laughed is because I saw the title, like Fax Machine to the Clubhouse. I'm not on Clubhouse. This is the funniest bit. Now I'll tell you why. And it's also understanding your personality, right? A lot of self-awareness is needed for business. I have always understood, and it's like you can try and change who you are, or you can just fully embrace it, right? You can just embrace who you are, go all in on you. I was watching that show Vikings with my wife. A very fun show, but there's a scene in it where if you haven't watched it, it's worth it. It's in about season 4 or something where Ragnar, who's the big Viking, says to his son Ivar, the boneless, who's got like no legs, he says, you know, it's when you embrace who you are, right, that greatness will be unlocked for you. More or less like that, right? So for example, I am not an early innovator. I'm never the first person to discover something, right? I'll always sit back a little bit. I'm an early adopter. You've got your adoption cycle. You know, you've got people and your early innovators, by the way, they're the people who you really want to be marketing to generally, like the early adopters. And the early majority and late majority will make a lot of your money. So I mean, if you're like an innovator, I found that like sometimes they can be the ones who like, just found Clubhouse, I've just found this, I've just found that, but they can go from one thing to the next so far, they kind of miss the traction, which is fine. That person's really valuable, but I've always found I'm more of an early adopter on stuff. And what I'm looking for when I see social media in general is it's just a way to connect with other human beings. I'm like, it's being really strategic with it because I have built most of our little empire offline to begin with and maintained that. I think one of the things I'm most proud of within our profession is just how stable our business is. Like we've gone through like 14 years now, and growth is fairly consistent. We certainly don't have like this sort of stuff going on, and that's based and built on real relationships. So I double down on relationships. I'm not like some big influencer. I know a lot of people in our profession are, and I think that's awesome. Like, tip the hat and go credit to you, but it's just not a game that in that level, like micro perhaps, but you'll find that when I say not an influencer, it's like not the goal is not to be bigger, it's to double down and be more niche at what I do really, really well. I was got one of my friends, Matt Church, and he said it really well, whereas, or maybe it was Peter Cook, one of the two of them is like, because everyone's always saying like, play a bigger game and go more massive. And here's their advice is like, well, actually how about like hyper get awesome at what you do, like play small. As in, because the game is so big when you get crazy with it and it can be overwhelming. But imagine if you like just double down, found your tribe and served them better than anyone in the world, that will duplicate for you as well. So
yeah, it's that focus, isn't it? And I think that's so important. Yeah, I mean, I got a Clubhouse account so I could kind of reserve Andrew Logan. They're like, okay, well, I'm gonna reserve that name, but I haven't done anything in there yet. I get the notifications and stuff, but yeah, like, because I was laughing when you were talking about, you know, the early adopters and the innovators, because then there's my aunt, and we had to buy her a new phone the other day when she came out. Well, the other day, this was 2 years ago, she came out for a family wedding from London, and she still had a 2G mobile phone. And she couldn't work out why her mobile phone didn't work because, of course, the whole 2G signal in Australia has been shut down. So the other end of the bell curve is the laggards who only got a digital TV because they closed down the standard definition, you know, in Australia. And then they only got a 4G phone because the 2G got closed down, kind of stuff. So there is that bell curve. But I think you talked about it really well. And again, it comes back to that addiction to the process, and yeah, we never wanted to be the fastest, we never wanted to be the greatest or anything like that. We just wanted to be the most respected kind of thing. I was like, you know, like we want people to look at what we do and respect what we do. And that just came from, as you said, just being really good at a handful of things. We didn't try and please everyone, we didn't try and do everything. We just thought, let's get good at a handful of things and offer value to people there.
Yeah, the other thing too is, I agree with you there, but I think we're moving into an era, I don't know if I'm right on this, I could be totally wrong, who knows? Well, time will tell. But I think we're entering into an era now where people are very overstimulated. There's so many platforms. There's so many. I've got 5 or 6 different ways that people can reach out to me. You know, you've got text, Telegram, Messenger, WhatsApp. Like there's just so many. We're so accessible. We're so overstimulated. I think that the winners in what we do for our side hustles are going to be the people that can simplify things and make it really enjoyable to do, because no one ever argues the result, right? Like imagine if you could have a side hustle income that makes you $1,000. That was exciting. $2,000 free. That's like lifestyle for most people. $2,000 in a side hustle, that doubles your lifestyle, triples it for some people. Like it doesn't take that much, especially like if you've got your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 4 or whatever, and you can have extra cash coming in. But if you can go like 5,000, 10,000, it's like, holy crikey, like, what do you do with it all? Like it's a weird thing where it doesn't take as much as people think. And if you can simplify that process where the average person, and I'm saying like someone who's might have, you know, a job already and kids, and if it's like, hey, come and learn this 63 gear complicated machine, it's like, whoa, that's hard. I might just go do Uber. So my challenge for someone would be, don't try to look for the next thing. Try to simplify what we've got. I think the biggest platforms are like Facebook and Instagram, and anything else that comes along. I would say like go and look there for sure, but I'm so mindful of overcomplication of things, and I know you are too, which is, I guess, like what did Bruce Lee say? Keep things as simple as they can be, but not simpler. And that's the goal, right? Like, how can I keep it simple as possible, but not too simple? Like where you're missing stuff. So that's the game. That's the challenge.
Richard Branson says it too. It's like anyone can make something more complicated. Anyone in the world can complicate something, but the genius is in keeping it simple, as you say. But I think, as you said, like perfectly rolling into what you and I were talking about yesterday before we sort of jumped on with financial freedom is a big goal, and freedom is this very exciting, sexy, enticing word for people, but sometimes we forget the power of financial security at the end of the day. Like giving people a safety net, giving people that security blanket, and just saying, you know what, like let's get $500,000 extra coming in, and what difference that can make to someone's life. Because hearing the 7-figure stories is exciting, and they do happen, of course they do. And if that's your ultimate goal, like then yeah, like let's go and do that together. But for someone just to get that extra $500 a week and know that their car payments are taken off their shoulder, and that you just
500,000, brother.
Oh yeah, 500, 1,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say like, ooh, okay. I mean, it's possible.
Oh, so there's those monkeys on our back every day, isn't there? There's the car loan, there's the home loan, there's the student loan, there's the school fees, like all those monkeys off the back. And if we can just pull one monkey off at a time, people's energy change. They can stand up taller. They've got more energy. They've got more excitement.
I believe this. A couple of things, like when it comes to our profession, right? When people would try and sell me on you can make $800,000. That was the first time I saw an overview. I was 19 years old and I was like, oh my God, that looks amazing. But your brain goes, yeah, right. And like I'd see it and go like, yeah, I can see it's possible for them, but it's as if I could do that. I actually, so the reason I said yes to doing all of this, okay, a little secret that I don't, like people know, but I mean, I got started in this. So I liked the product, okay, because I thought it had merit and value. And you should make sure that whatever business or side gig that you choose, if it's in our profession, that you really would use the product even if you weren't getting paid. That's really important. To me, that like kind of comes first. That was just, it wasn't on purpose, it was accidental. I got lucky, kind of like I think you did as well, like good products that people want and they have merit and value on their own 2 feet. But I started, like, people would say, hey Matt, like, because I was really very passionate about health and wellness, right? Not so much the weight loss side of things, but health and wellness, like staying healthy. So people would say, hey, what do you do? What are you doing? Because I was passionate about it. And so look, I take these products. I like them, they work for me. If you're interested, I did the ultimate palm off. I'd be like, look, chat to my sponsor, Kathleen. She's a lovely lady. She runs it as a business. She'll show you what they're up to. I just would third party, almost by accident, because I was so freaking busy with my PT studio. We were doing, I think at that stage, we had three full-time equivalent staff, really good people by this stage. And we were crazy as. So I wasn't even looking for extra income. We're pretty good there with pre-GFC. And I just sent people to this lovely lady. And I was doing it as a favor to her because I really liked her. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman, my sponsor. And I would send them to her. Now, this is the value of integrity. Because I wouldn't have cared if she just signed them up to herself. I'm like, look, these people want products, look after them. She linked them to my account. About a dozen people that I'd sent to her over the course of a little while. And I was regularly buying my products. I had a set little order that I would do for myself as a young 24-year-old guy. And that would turn up. So long story, kind of the short version is, one day I'd put in my product order, my box turns up with all my goodies in it. And it was about $300 order, I think, more or less, like all my goodies that I'd have and a bit of laundry powder and some stuff, like all my essentials. And then in the mail, back when we used to get paid by checks, a check turned up for I thought it was $250, but I checked the records, about $400, right? A $400 bonus, okay, roughly turned up. And I was like, oh, they must have, and this is what happened. I thought they must have refunded my order, but it turned up anyway. So I called the company. I'm like, hey, back when you still call people, I'm like, hey, it's Matt Riddel here. Hey, look, my box has turned up. You can cancel that check. I don't need the refund. And it turned up. It's a true story. And they're like, no, that's not a refund. That's your bonus entitlement. I was like, a what? How's that possible? I just ordered products. And they're like, do you know this person, this person, this person, this person, this person? And I'm like, yeah, they're all people I sent to my clever sponsor. So then I was like, hey, we can sit down and talk about this because it was actually because I got paid that I'm like, this thing is real. And I didn't have to do that much. And it was only like $400 that lit the whole thing up for me. And it's, multiple millions of dollars have been turned over since that point. But it was from $400. Because it was believable, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So one of the things like our commitment is, and we aim to do it with somebody gets started is, hey, look, let's just get you to your first couple of $100 so that you can see that there's actually money there. Like we work harder for people at that very start point. If someone can see like a couple of $100, $1,000 in their first little while, it's like, it's real. And then you don't have a partner, a husband going like, you're bloody wasting money on that stuff again. Geez, when are we going to see something from it? It's like profitable quickly, it just can open a lot more doors. So I just wanted to share that. It wasn't the big thing that got me excited. It was $400.
Well, I think it's so powerful because, we talk about like the pre-win, what was the just the first compliment you get that, have you lost weight? It doesn't have to be the 50 kilogram weight. I mean, we just use weight loss because it's an easy example, but so you walk into work and someone says you look different. And that's when people get on the phone and say my first compliment from the kids, the first time I ran faster, the first time I lifted heavier, like those little things make such a difference. And mate, our first check was $22. So you did better than us, but it was, to
be fair for the record, my first like little ones along the way as a customer, like $8, $12, stuff like that. The first one that like the one that got my attention first. Like I'd never seen anything other than like 22 or something dollars, but then that one was like, whoa. So yeah, but I'd never heard of that pre-win. I really like that. That's cool.
Yeah, it's just it's the win that gets them in the game, because again, like you talk about, if you've always worked a job, your whole life, you've always been in a belief that this is what your value is and this is what you're worth, and someone else to an extent can decide that. And so it is a bit like that explorer that's never left the shores, and there's like this whole world out there, but all they can see is the horizon. And so that's all they can believe exists. So you've got to like get them to the horizon, and then this whole new world opens up, and belief is so important. We started for a couple of $100 a week. I remember, because it was the same thing. A couple of $100 a week we started for the products, and then the products worked. And again, as you say, all the people who've stuck around and been consistent, long-term, great people in our business fell in love with the products first and then rolled over because of that. The people who've come in short-term, they've made a bit of noise, but they haven't left, because they didn't fall in love with exactly what we offered. So, but I remember we always laugh about it. You do the kind of fake check when you're sort of setting your goals, and we wrote like $500, and it was like, like crazy. And then you had to write the second part of the thing was write a completely, ultimate check. And I think we wrote 2,000, I think it was, and the lady came over and like, come on, like, and we're like, we'll double it. And we like wrote 4,000. And that was all we could believe at the time was $500. And, now like you can laugh about it, but that belief was so important to get us to a point where we believed, because then we could believe more was possible.
I could not back you up more than that. I think it's kind of refreshing, because I think you'll find that within our profession, and I guess as Aussies too, you'll find that Aussies are a little bit more laid back. I like to think that, like, I would hope that, well, one of my goals has always been that if you met me in person, you're not going to be like, hey, he's kind of two different people, right? It's like, as I show up on social media, because it's just easier that way. It's like, I don't have to try and pretend or be anything different. And I think you'll find if you're on social media, the world of the fake guru is over, man. Like that is, I think Dan Bilzerian's fall was kind of like the start of that. And then they all toppled since, like the king of Instagram living on rented stuff. Like authenticity is solid gold moving forward. People don't, you don't need to have a flash car. I mean, like we don't, you don't need to have like a monstrous big house. I mean, we don't. Like we live on how you want to live and design the life the way you want, and figure out what's important to you. Like my thing has always been about having just options and choices, not being locked into something. So if tomorrow you decide you want to do something different, you've got the ability and the freedom and flexibility to do that. Figure out what it is for you. For some people, like a lot of people, it's going to be where, I think as a young guy in network marketing, starting in my early 20s, being single, like that's a bit of an anomaly. You don't see many do, well, at least not in our company. I don't see a lot doing that. I think it came from my background, as in like having watched business. I was always open to the idea of models of business and all of that. You're going to find a lot of the most successful people, I mean, you can have it from anyone that's really motivated can do this, is I guess what I'm trying to say. You'll see you'll look around and be like, oh my gosh, I need to be married, or I need to be single, or you just need to be you. and find out what's important to you and go serve people. Your target market, by the way, though, might not be you. Like, just learn how to serve people and make it not all about you. I think the one downside to the influencer style in culture is that everyone is so focused on themselves, they don't realize there's a whole world of people to serve out there that just want to be able to connect with someone, and you can do that. You don't have to be super special.
A mate of mine, Zach, said the other day, like, influencers care that you care about them, and leaders care that you care about yourself, kind of thing. Like, that's the difference. Leaders want you to grow, and influencers want you to help them grow, sort of stuff. And that, painting a broad picture there, obviously. But there's one last thing I want to get back to with social media. But before I said that, before I go there again, you said something really, really important there that I don't want people to miss. That, again, when we talk about financial freedom, security to freedom, financial freedom is not a value of your car. Financial freedom is not a number of dollars in the bank account. Financial freedom is freedom from worrying about your finances, essentially, at the end of the day. And that you don't have to sit there every week and panic, and you don't have to go into a job where you're not happy. You can go into a job that you love. You can go and volunteer because you love to do something, because you're not worried about your finances. So again, we can get caught in that trap where we look at someone's car and say that person is successful, or not, right? And they could just be renting that car. They could be leasing it. They could be drowning in debt because of that car. And then you could have someone with a simpler car, a plainer sort of car, but they're financially free because they're not burdened by the finances of that car. And I have a fairly long story about a car story with Andrew and I that I won't go into now, but I think it's so important that when you said that, because that is so important. We have to understand, like, what we actually have in financial freedom is a lot about giving us more choice in life. And if we get ourselves into a financial situation where that choice is taken away, that's when stress happens. That's when, divorces happen, all those sorts of things, because of the energy attached to that.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Like, someone once, like, the wealthiest people, truly wealthy, I'm talking where you'd look at their net financial worth and be like, how can one person have done that? And it's because they didn't spend all of their money trying to look rich while being broke. And there's, like, for example, like, and I've done that, like, in my early to mid 20s. It's always like, how can I bought the WRX and, like, did all this sort of stuff. All that did was lose my license, but it was trying to look like I was successful. And it was the decision of, like, after getting really stressed and going like, oh my God, for a young guy, that was a pretty cool car. But it was making that decision of, like, okay, I'm going to get rid of all of that, and I'm going to buy myself a little white Hyundai Getz, right? And I went and, like, what's the most economical, reliable? Like, I went for purely so that I can get myself a full-time job, because I was like, after the GFC hit, it was like, look, I need income security. I can't handle the stress of this sort of stuff going on. Like, not interested in that. And was like, I'm going to have a full-time job and use network marketing as a vehicle to earn my freedom, and then do what you want from there. And that took about 15 months of just working full-time 9 to 5. It was actually like sort of like 7 till 4, 8 till, no, probably 8 till 4-ish. And then I'd come home and I'd work it. Like, every night, that I was like that Andy Dufresne out of the Shawshank Redemption, just like a little bit at a time. It's about consistency, not about how the big, massive action. It's like, yeah, that's cool. How about, like, consistent action? Like, I'm bigger on, like, be consistent. Like, the thing that anyone can do is, like, even if you've got kids, like, hey, look, most kids do go to bed relatively early if they're well trained. Like, your kids will not suffer from seeing mum and dad, like, hustle. Like, for me as a kid, I remember, like, my dad would do a full day's work, and mum had 4 kids to look after, right? But dad would come home, have dinner with us. Sometimes he'd be home late, working late or whatever. But most nights, I remember, dad had, like, you'd walk into our house, there'd be a laundry on the left, and then beyond the laundry, there was an office. And dad would be in there most nights from like 8 till late, drumming up business, like talking to, because that was way back when it was a lot smaller, but it was like your wages will earn you a living. It's what you do. Your 9 to 5 will earn you a living. It's the fortunes built after that. Make no mistake about it. It's your willingness to go above and beyond, and you have time for everything if you make time for everything. Like most people are on the old phone, in the scroll hole, and I have no time. It's like, stop doing that. Like, use it productively. Everyone has time. That's a myth.
Well, and again, we could do a whole podcast on, side hustling and building a business as parents and building a business as husband and wife. But, very quickly, I think a lot of, mothers particularly, I don't want my child to see me on my phone. Like, why don't you just help them understand that you're hustling, you're not just scrolling, because they're going to see you scrolling, they're going to see you, and they're going to see you coming home unhappy and unfulfilled from work. So why not let them see you lit up, and let them see you energetic, and let them see you excited, and just know that the phone is a tool that you're using to help that. I just want to finish sorry, there you go.
I think it's a really important point, because almost everyone, I would say like at least 80% of people building this have kids. My mentors who have 3 kids, and they're wonderful kids, very well balanced. I've watched them grow up from being like this big to, one of them bigger than me now. They would say, let your kids be your reason, not your excuse.
Yeah.
I just love that. It's like, that's the way.
And that's for a healthy lifestyle, health, everything, isn't it? But the thing I want to come back to with social media and just sort of finalizing what we're chatting about today. And I know, like you said it before really well, and it's not that there are more distractions in modern society, that there are more options to distract you. Like we got distracted as kids, but the only thing you could do as a kid was go and ride your bike outside. So you did that for 5 straight hours when you got home from school. Now kids can come home and there's like the Xbox, there's Netflix, there's YouTube, there's, all these other options. And so coming back to social media, I know this is something you and I have talked about previously, and it was one of the things that made me think like, I've got to get you on this podcast is, obviously with social media, you can't do all of them. You just cannot physically be on all the channels consistently, because that's just too time consuming. The thing that I focus on, and the thing I know you've talked about as well, is the social media channels that offer more longevity. Because, the reason, like, stories are really powerful, but we also know stories are gone. And, Clubhouse, my skepticism on Clubhouse is if you don't get on there live and listen in kind of stuff, or if you don't attract people live straight away kind of thing, then that opportunity has then gone. I love podcasting, I love YouTube, I love, like Facebook Lives and stuff, because they stick around longer. And they stick around longer. We can create something, and we can create something of value that someone can come back to in a year, 5 years, 10 years time and still find. And I know you've told me like a little YouTube story of your own, where we can create value and we can create social media content, but we can also have that social media content working for us and helping us grow our business for years if we do it well.
Yeah. It's I discovered that by accident, right? Because you hear these big guys talk about it. I agree with you. So I'm looking for longevity. Every customer that I get started, my goal is to help them become a raving fan. Do I have a 100% success rate? No, nobody does, but it's my goal. With building my business, I just don't want to work unnecessarily. Like, I didn't do this as a side gig to work harder than I've ever worked before. Like, that was not the goal. It's to, like, there's so many platforms. Find the one that you're native to, that you like. So I don't like Snapchat, but I know people have built big businesses on Snapchat. They love Snappy. It's just not for me. There's people who have used Instagram. Like, some of the biggest players in our profession are like Instagram monsters. Good stuff. And you'll often find, like, I guess it's, again, being self-aware. A lot of you'll find that a lot of the people who are doing really good on Instagram, they're just great with the photos. They've learned all of that. Look, I can do it, but it just taxes my freaking soul. Like, I'm not as consistent as some people who naturally love it. I quite like Facebook. I know it's a bit more the old school now, but it's the biggest. And I like YouTube. Why? Because for me, like, it would take me like 3 hours to get that right photo, but I can record a video like that, no problems. Don't even have to think about it. So find the platform that natively suits your personality. If you're an introvert, you'll find that some of our best people on Facebook in our team are roaring introverts because they've got the time to think about, okay, this copy, this photo, this, that. That taxes me. So I guess I would say 2, maybe 3 platforms at the most. For God's sakes, don't try to get on all of them. Have one as your dominant platform where you show up, and then just be consistent. Like I did stories. If you follow me, the purpose of stories is to give you an insight into my world. I'm pretty consistent on it. Like most people, when they bump into me, it's weird because they're like, almost like they know you. And it's like, I don't know who this person is. But my goal is it just brings the amount of rapport time right down to where it saves me time. Taking like 5 minutes a day to do some stories saves me time so that when I meet someone, they can already decide whether they like me or not, whether they want to be my friend or not, whether they're like, hey, stay away from the freaking rang with the beard. They have no souls anyway, or hey, no, there's really good, we kind of resonate. That's someone that I want to be friends with. It's just a sorting tool. The other thing too is social media. Look, you're going to find that people are going to love you and hate you. Just show up as you. Like I know there's plenty of people out there that don't like me, and I'm okay with it. Like I'm not. You and I are not here to be everyone's cup of tea. I'm just here to be me, and you're here to be you. And what do they say? It's like, just because. I don't know how. Someone put it once really well, where it's like, look, just because we don't think the same and we're not like friends. It's not that I don't want to see you do well. I just don't want to have you at my table every night. You can do you. We're cool. Like it doesn't bother me in the slightest. And when people do that, that's what you get along as. What is it? Civility is the foundation of civil society. It's just being civil with each other. And I think that's social media is like everyone's a keyboard warrior, right? So I try to keep it as civil as I can. I try to not write things that I wouldn't say to someone's face. I can be just stuff like that where it's. Because social media, it has the power to, I want to kind of bring this in, and I know you bring it to a close, but social media, it's like it's like electricity, okay? It has the power to cook your food or it can cook you. It can light your home up or it can light you on fire and kill you. It's how you use it, like anything. So for me, social media has allowed me to stay in touch with all of the friends that I went to school with in Argentina in the year 2000. I have a chat group with them. It allows me to stay in touch with bulk lots of people, attract people into my world. It's about how you use it. Used right, it can be one of the best tools to improve your life and help you have a fantastic side gig. Used wrong, you can lose half of your life lost in a scroll hole getting in arguments with people. It's how you choose to use it. And it does take discipline to just go, no, I'm not going to do that. And I'm telling you that because I've made mistakes. Just some things don't do. Like I don't like scrolling on social media. I try to be intentional. I try to focus on people more than posts. Like I want to chat to people. I want to see what's going on. My wife, she's a rock star at social media. But she's not like posting constantly. She's consistent, but it's actually in conversation with people, chatting with people, caring about people. And I think that's probably what the world needs a little bit more of right now.
That's it, isn't it? It's like, I talk, like people say money is evil. Well, it's the person holding the money. And the analogy is like, it's a hammer. Like I couldn't personally, because I don't know how to use a hammer, but someone could hold a hammer and build this home. Someone held a hammer and built this beautiful home that we love. Someone else could come in with a hammer and pull the thing apart, right? Yeah. And that would be me, because I don't know how to hold the hammer. Like I'd try and fix it, but I'd actually make it worse. But but it's the same thing, isn't it? Like social media in the hand that someone's holding, and they have good intentions and they're doing it properly, and it's a tool to help them reach more people and add more value. And then also, we all get them. We all get the people. And I did a Facebook Live just in our group yesterday about this, there's going to be haters no matter what you do. There's going to be people that just like, they've got nothing better to do but sit behind a phone, a computer or whatever. And then they go and show up to a sporting field just to boo the team. They kind of got nothing better to do than just boo people.
It's like, what does it say? Like, I've never had someone show up as a hater who's more successful than me.
Yeah.
People who are winning don't do that stuff. Like, that's just, to me, it's
criticized by a happy person. Like, happy people don't criticize people, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like a litmus test. And it's like, look, if someone, all they've got to do is sit there and like hang hang crap on people is, well, I feel for them because I'm like, look, if that's the best thing you've got to do with your time, all the more to you. Like, maybe you need to go and find something you like doing. You know, and from the only time I've ever wanted to do stuff like that, because I think of it myself, you know, I'm like, the only time I've ever wanted to do that is when things aren't going well in my life. My mentor, Charlie, would always say beautifully, he says, no, man, don't worry about it. Hurting people hurt people. I was like, yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's just how.
Yeah. Mate, finish on that. I think that's a great way to finish, because I know a lot of people struggle with that with social media, and yeah, it's unfortunately a reflection of something that's going on in their life, and you're just the easy target right now for them. So, mate, really appreciate your time, guys. I hope you got great value out of today, out of Matt. Like, you know, if you want to follow him and his wife, Britt, obviously just follow their journey and see what they're doing. You will find them on social media, Matthew and Britt Riddel. And mate, thank you so much for your time, guys. If you got value out of this, you know, I'd love you to drop a comment below or reach out, you know, subscribe and send it on to your friends as well so they can get value out of this. And until our next episode, thanks for being with us. And mate, thanks for being on.
Appreciate you, man.
See ya.